Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining this video presentation. First of all, I would like to express my highest gratitude to the Lord God Almighty who has blessed and given me strength that allow me to present my research paper today. The Honorable Mrs. Aseptiana Parmawati MPD as the first supervisor and Mr. Yana SPDM Home as the second supervisor who have guided and encouraged me to complete my final assignment. Before we begin this presentation, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Siska Filina with student number 16220123 from English Education Study Program, Faculty of Language Education of Ikip Siliwangi. This video is made to fulfill the requirement for my final assignment for Sarjana Pendidikan degree. On this occasion, I would like to present my final assignment entitled The Implementation of Quizlet Application in Teaching Vocabulary. This research consists of 5 contents. First, background of the research. Second, objective of the research. Third, methodology of the research, which consists of instruments and data collection technique. Fourth, result of the research, and fifth, conclusion. The first chapter of this research is background of the research. Some opinions of the researcher in composing this research are: first, vocabulary is an essential role in the process of language learning. It means that vocabulary needs to be comprehended prior to the other English skills, such as listening, reading, speaking, and writing. As British linguist David Wilkins said, while without grammar little can be conveyed, without vocabulary nothing can be conveyed. That is why vocabulary learning is very crucial in language learning. The second, at the beginning of 2020, the first COVID-19 case appeared in Indonesia. This is something that is inevitable and forces everyone to adapt to the existing circumstances, including in the education system. This pandemic forces the teacher to find more effective ways in the teaching and learning process. One of the ways is the use of online material, such as mobile applications that can be used to ease students in learning a foreign language. In this research, the researcher considered Quizlet as an application that provides some features. For instance, flashcard, learn, write, spell, test, math, gravity, and live. Every feature has its special function that can assist students in learning vocabulary. In this research, the researcher concluded 10 previous studies related to the use of Quizlet in teaching vocabulary. Most of the results show that students consider Quizlet as a useful and beneficial tool in learning vocabulary. Next, objective of the research. First, to know the implementation of the teaching and learning vocabulary through the Quizlet application. Second, to identify the teacher and students' responses in teaching and learning vocabulary through the Quizlet application. Third, to know the teacher and students' difficulties in the implementation of teaching learning using the Quizlet application. Next, research methodology. According to Eckhart and Tavakoli in 2012, research design can be classified into 3 broad research categories that are quantitative research, qualitative research, and mixed method research design. In this paper, the researcher uses the descriptive qualitative method. Descriptive qualitative research methods have been very common procedures for conducting research in many disciplines, including education, psychology, and social science. Descriptive research can be defined as a research method used to describe the existing events as accurately as possible, as stated by Tsuraya and Atmowardoyo in 2018. This research used descriptive qualitative method to describe the existing event as accurately as possible. This method is collecting the available data through the use of research instruments such as tests, questionnaire, interview, and observation. Finding and discussion. 3 meetings were well conducted, where each meeting consists of 3 main activities: pre-activity, main activity, and post-activity. Generally, in the pre-activity, the researcher did the same things in every meeting, like praying together, checking the attendance list, motivating students, and reviewing students' understanding. In the first meeting, the researcher focused on introducing Quizlet application, how to use it, and gave simple tasks to measure students' ability in using vocabulary. After the test had been conducted, the researcher explained the vocabulary related to Quizlet. In the second meeting, the researcher focused on teaching vocabulary through Quizlet application. The researcher paid more attention to students' acquisition of English vocabulary that related to their students' book provide. The researcher gave more explanation how to use the application at home, so the students knew how to use it by themselves. The simple vocabulary games was held as well. In the third meeting, which was the last meeting, the researcher asked the students to check their knowledge based on what they had already got and review all materials. The researcher gave the test result to evaluate the treatment of this research. After that, the researcher asked 3 students for an interview. Positive responses occur from the students in using the application. It's shown from the mean score of the test results improved to 13.62 from the total average 40.86 to 54.31. From the interview results, the researcher concluded that the students did not feel any difficulty and complained about learning English using Quizlet application. Furthermore, 70% of students feel more excited in learning English using Quizlet. Conclusion. According to research findings and from the data analyzed that was discussed in the prior chapter, the researcher would conclude as follows. First, the outcome of the using of Quizlet application in teaching and learning vocabulary is very effective and could give positive impact. It can be shown from the classroom observation. Students feel enjoy and easier to learn vocabulary. Besides that, students feel enthusiastic in the learning process. Furthermore, students follow the learning process by following the observation sheet that already prepared. So the implementation of this application could run well as expected. Second, based on the result from interview and questionnaire, teacher and student gave positive responses toward the implementation of Quizlet application in teaching and learning vocabulary. From the results of interview, students mentioned that using Quizlet application in learning vocabulary is an interesting technique, enjoyable and helpful to make them learn vocabulary. Students mentioned that Quizlet application eased the students to focus on specific vocabulary they learn based on their student book. Besides that, the feature of the application could stimulate students to explore other sets of vocabulary made by other users to enrich student vocabulary lists. Furthermore, the results from questionnaire shows that mostly students agree that the implementation of Quizlet application is interesting. In addition, the results of the questionnaire show that the answer of the students are in the range of 67 to 100%. If included into category based on Arikunta in 1998, this was the strong to very strong categories. So it can be summarized that students gave positive responses toward the implementation of Quizlet application in learning vocabulary. Whereas the English teacher stated that this technique is very helpful for students in learning vocabulary. From the results, it can be concluded that this technique has a positive influence on teaching and learning vocabulary. Third, students did not find the difficulties when this technique implemented. However, based on the results from the interview, the difficulties felt by students only on their personal problem. For instance, some students feel nervous, still stammering because they lack mastering vocabulary, feel nervous and sigh. So it can be concluded that the student did not find the difficulties when this technique applied, but it more to their problem in understanding and memorizing vocabulary. From the explanation, it can be concluded that this technique is suitable for learning vocabulary. It can be seen on the positive responses from the respondent, and they feel enjoyed with this technique. Suggestion for student could try an application that assists them in learning vocabulary, especially vocabulary related to their student's book. For English teacher, it would be better if the English teacher uses various techniques, applications, or methods in the class so the students feel enjoyed and motivated in learning activity. For future researcher, this research is far from being perfect. Hopefully, constructive suggestion and criticism from the readers are warming welcome for better improvements. That's all I could deliver about my final assignment. Sorry if there are any mistake in delivering. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.